you so much for joining us for this week's edition of StandPoint. I am Adetunji Adeteye. The outgoing week has been a busy one for watchers of political developments in Nigeria. Many stories are making headlines, and some of them are gradually building up day after day, and of course, revealing new sides to them. But then, here at TVC, we have been keeping tabs on a few of those stories that are not likely to fizzle out anytime soon. So let's quickly look at some of them. The biggest story that we've been following is on the president's health. His continued absence at the Federal Executive Council meeting has been generating a lot of controversy. His handlers have tried to justify the reasons for his absence, but it seems Nigerians are becoming rather impatient. Don't also forget that before President Buhari embarked on his first medical trip in June 2016, he informed Nigerians about his failing health. He was away for about 13 days, and shortly after that, he embarked on a second trip in January this year, spending 49 days. But he did one thing that former President Muhamadu failed to do. He handed over power to Vice President Yemi Osinbajo in accordance to Section 145, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution. But now, the story is different and gradually heating up the polity despite the series of control measures put in place by the president's media team. In fact, it was at the Friday prayers just to prove to Nigerians that indeed he is alive. Yet, we ask these questions. Why are Nigerians agitating and calling for the president's resignation? Is the president a superhuman that he cannot fall sick? Is the media attention necessary at this time, especially when the president has said several times that all he needed is rest? So those are the questions begging for answers. But first, let's listen to what the Minister of Information and the spokesperson to the president had to say about this developing story.
The president was at his office yesterday, and he worked, at his office yesterday. And I think about a few days before now, we did come out to say he's been asked to take some rest, by his doctors, and he chose today to rest and not to attend the Federal Council meeting. And we want to take the opportunity to thank Nigerians, who have expressed a lot of concern and sympathy, and who have, actually, who have been praying for him. And like we've always said, Mr. President would stick to his doctor's advice so that he can recover much more quickly.
It's in the public domain that the president was sick. To quote him, he said he had never been that sick in his life. When you have been that sick, you need a time to fully recover. You need a time of convalescence. But that does not mean you are incapacitated. No. He is going through a time of convalescence, a time to regain his health fully.
All right, there you have it. You just listened to the position of the government spokespersons there talking about Alhaji Lai Mohammed and the spokesperson to the president, Femi Adesina. We'll definitely talk about all that shortly after this break. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. We're discussing one of our big stories in the outgoing week, and it's about the president's health. Now I'm joined by a member of the Lagos State House of Assembly. He is Honorable Olusegun Olulade. Good to have you here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Also, I have with me Bolaji Shoneye. Bolaji is a politician here in Lagos. Bolaji, good afternoon.
All right, good afternoon.
Okay, we also hope that we'll be joined later on by Chris Wokobi, a political analyst, and also Taufik Gani of the People's Democratic Party. But let's set the ball rolling now, and I'll start with you, Honorable Olulade. You listened to some of the big questions that we asked there. Why should the president, or why are Nigerians asking the president to resign now? That story has been making headlines everywhere. And you saw the president yesterday at the Jumat prayers. Of course, it wasn't looking bad. Healthy, but he said he needed more time to rest.
Yeah. Well, I will not blame those who are asking him to resign. He's born out of our experiences in Nigeria. We have seen a situation during the PDP era in this country where Muhamadu, President Shehu Musa Yar'Adua was sick and he was covered. And people could not really say what really happened until he passed on. Same to him, and for our president, he has displayed high level of integrity. He has brought into play transparency and accountability into his governance. And with that, we can see that while he was sick, he told the entire country that he needs to, to go for medical checkup, and he was able to also hand over to his vice president. That couldn't happen during the days of the PDP when Yar'Adua was there. So you can understand the agitations that maybe, especially when he came back and was saying that, well, I need some rest. But Nigerians should also understand this, that we need to trust our leaders. We need to believe, especially those ones that we have seen that have displayed some level of integrity in governance. And Muhammadu Buhari, President Muhammadu Buhari, is one of those people that we should, give him that opportunity to at least trust him for who he is. And he has displayed that by showing to us that I said I needed rest. And when you saw him yesterday, you can see that the man is coming back. He's not the Muhammadu Buhari that we saw about 3 weeks ago, that we are seeing that yesterday. He needs rest. Okay. Sickness is not alien to anybody. So sickness can come to anybody, and once you are sick, and you can come out to say, I am sick, but now I'm recovering. And like what the spokesman for Mr. President said earlier, that he needs a period of rejuvenating. And that's why we cannot just say that he has done anything wrong for now.
All right, Bolaji, let me come to you now. You talked about integrity.
Okay.
I doubt if that has ever been in doubt ever since President Buhari assumed office. But we're talking about a state of health of the president now and his ability to continue to govern the nation.
All right.
Is there any difference, is there any link between talking about his integrity, which is not in doubt, according to some Nigerians, and then his ability to rule?
Okay. Firstly, I think I'll need to take it from the area at which a lot of people are just being insensitive when it comes to the health of the president. Some even would say they wish the president dead, and stuffs like that go on, majorly from the opposition camps or opposition political parties. But the truth is this, nobody is immune to actually being sick or being immune to some level of state of health. All right, but taking it from the angle of his integrity, I don't think that is in doubt at any time, because he has displayed a whole lot of that in his activities and how he even managed governance. And then if you have to look at the area of his capabilities of still functioning properly, we would like to go down memory lane or into history, where we look at great presidents of some nations, the likes of Roosevelt. Okay. He led America to the Second World War, and then he got victories. We talk about the likes of Winston Churchill. These are people that are presidents or leaders in their own countries, and they were actually sick while they're in government. Roosevelt was down with polio, and yet the Americans never doubted his ability to perform and lead them aright. So the same thing is applied here in Nigeria. When we look at President Muhammadu Buhari's profile, his performance, and the way he has been handling matters, even with his state of health, he is the first president.
Even though people have said that so many things are now left undone.
I want to disagree. So many things are left undone.
I'll allow you to answer that shortly. All right, we'll go on a short break, and then we'll be right back. Please stay with us. Right, thanks for staying with us. We're still looking at the president's health. We're discussing this, and I have with me Honorable Segun Olulade. He's a member of the Lagos State House of Assembly. Honorable, good to have you here. And also, Bolaji Shoneye has also made this point about people's observation and complaints about the president's state of health. Yeah, Bolaji, still good to have you here. But right now, we're joined by the publicity secretary of the PDP in Lagos State, as a lawyer, Taufik Gani. Taufik, it's good to have you here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Even though you came in later. But let me just take your first point about the state of the president's health. I've listened to Olulade and Bolaji. What's your opinion? What's your take on the state of the president's health and the fact that it was at the Jumat service yesterday?
The presence at the Jumat service yesterday gave me another reason to think that perhaps we can have succor. Succor in the sense that my own standpoint, honestly speaking, is that the president should resign. President Muhammadu Buhari should resign. Because one, not only that, the country is under serious threat now, where even people who are serving and who have access to arms are beginning to see that if the president dies, they will kill 200 people, kill 300 people. Not only that, his own integrity, the credibility of the president is now put to serious test. As a matter of fact, if I am to score, I will score him very low now, because what he ought to do as we speak is to come out plain and let Nigerians know the state of his health, and for the fact that we all can see apparently that he is not carrying out his duties as expected, as intended by the Constitution. But you know, he is also being very careful, because if you go by section 144(3), talking about when you can remove the president when he becomes permanently incapacitated on health issue at a point in time, that's under section 144 sub 3, there has to be notice. Now, if that notice comes by way of him admitting to Nigerians that I have, because he has to mention the health issue, I have this, and we know that it is a terminal thing, then himself has put himself on the spot.
Well, you're talking about a situation wherein the president has said, all I needed is rest.
There is no doubt about it that he needs rest. And that's what I'm saying. What we are saying is that the difference between the ordinary president and President Muhammadu Buhari is because President Buhari has given himself a very high degree of percentage that he is very credible. He means where he has honesty of purpose. But what we are saying is that the vice president, for God's sake, we are only lucky that the vice president is somebody who is very cerebral. And that's why the nation is going the way it is going. Otherwise, we would have been down the drain. The vice president is not a substantive president. The intendment of the Constitution, where the vice president can continue to act, is not as it is. It is in a situation where, for instance, the president is doing A activity, the vice president can do B activity. As it is, the president is not doing any activity. This by the president, and nobody, for God's sake, nobody can wish any other person dead. And I think we should disabuse our mind from that. The misconception that people are saying that President Buhari or they wish him dead. No. Nigerians will never. As a matter of fact, the protagonist of Buhari, President Buhari, must continue, were the sponsors of Yar'Adua Go. What did Yar'Adua Go mean that time? It meant that Yar'Adua should go and die. So these were even the people who were saying that's the interpretation you're giving it. Yes, but
I think I need to. Okay, let me allow you make your point now. Then I'll allow others talk, which is it has to be balanced here. Okay. Now you talked. Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is that indeed we know that we are in a very sorry situation where the vice president is actually performing the work of the president. Now it is not contradictory to our call or Nigeria's call that the president should give way. What we Nigerians want to avoid is a situation where, God forbid, if anything happens now, as we see, the president has not been speaking to even the ministers. They are carrying out their work. You may not rightly justify that. These things are obvious. Okay. I know Alhaji Lai Mohammed very well. We know how he does his thing. Apart from that, he may want to be very sensational. Alhaji Lai Mohammed will have gone ahead to say that I saw President Mohammed.
He's not here right now, but Olulade, you want to react to that because he just said something about his own wish, which is his opinion, that he would rather have the president resign. But at the same time, he talked about the president's integrity. That means there is a conflict between having a person with integrity in office and then resign. What's your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, I'm not surprised about my very good friend, Gani, talking this way. But I know his position when Yar'Adua was there. He never asked Yar'Adua to resign. And we all know what was going on then in this country. But beyond that, Mr. President, I don't see any reason why he should resign, first of all. Mr. President has been working. There have not been any vacuum as far as we are concerned. We have seen him, and the media people have been able to tell us, or inform Nigerians, that even that they passed the files, and at times they tell us that he's working on his files. So it's not a matter of him going on the field or jogging all around before you can know that Mr. President is working or not.
All right,
so,
Bolaji, sorry, let me just allow Bolaji make his point there, because I see you're eager to make that point.
Okay, yeah, I must say he actually expressed himself, and I must say everyone is entitled to their opinion. All right, but talking about the president's health and resignation, there is, to me, there's a whole lot of contrast in it. Because the health of the president, as it is right now, the president, everyone saw him at the Juma service yesterday, walking by himself. He's not being guided or being supported in the course of his moving around and everything. And then this same man is the only president so far in Nigeria that has handed over power to his deputy. All right. I don't think any other president in Nigeria, even the president at which he was talking about earlier, the past president, late Yar'Adua, okay, late Yar'Adua never handed power over. The PDP system, the past government or the past political system actually covered up all of this and kept Nigerians in the dark, which APC never did. This is a structured party that allowed the deputy to take over, and even President Muhammadu Buhari agreed to this. He said on his side, he has age and experience and the military background, all right? And on the side of the vice president, he is an intellectual, so much energy that can also run. And this mandate does not belong to the president alone. It belongs to both of them.
All right, Taufik.
Buhari and Osinbajo.
Taufik, you talked about the president revealing more to Nigerians the nature of his sickness. I recall that when the president made his first trip outside of Nigeria, he talked about him seeing specialists, talking about the throat and air infection or something like that. What else do you want to say? He has come out in the open to say again that all I want is to just rest.
For God's sake, the president has not come to tell us that all I want is rest.
He said it
when he came back into Nigeria. No, what he said, the one that is loudest that we all can always remember is, I have never been sick this way. You understand? But he has been quoted by the SA to media, by even the Minister of Information. What we are saying, and let me correct, even though I was opportune to know a lot about what went on during, some, not maybe a lot, of what happened during President Yar'Adua's case. Some of us, even in PDP, we stood our ground on what should have happened. But the case of Yar'Adua, if you remember very well, he actually wanted to go for a program, and suddenly it became an emergency, and he was rushed. Okay. And even as we speak, nobody will tell you that the sincerity or purpose of President Muhammadu Buhari is better than Yar'Adua. But that's not what we're discussing here. And so what we are saying is that, how can you begin to assess and confirm that President Muhammadu Buhari has been working? 3 times he has not attended Federal Executive Council. Is that not enough for the two thoughts to come up from the Federal Executive Council? But which Federal Executive Council will give the National Assembly some
information? Even though the files are still with him and he treats most of those
Which files? Do you know what we are going through now? What? I have said that we are just lucky that the Vice President is very cerebral and probably has sincerity of purpose. Do you know that on a live chat, presidential media chat, the President came up and said that 2 people, by all indications, 2 people will not ever see he will never enjoy their liberty as long as he continues to be president. That's Dasuki and IPOB, that's Nnamdi Kanu.
But Nnamdi Kanu is out.
That's exactly what I'm telling you. So ordinarily, if President Muhammadu Buhari is the true person treating these files,
Nnamdi Kanu would not have been released.
Is that an assumption?
This thing is circumstantial. This is a very clear circumstantial evidence that the president is not in control anymore.
Are you
and
sure?
the only reason he's holding tight.
Are you sure you're not just assuming? Because if the president that we saw yesterday in that video, that Nigerians saw
did he speak to you? He had the opportunity. Not only that, he missed the opportunity when he met the Attorney General and the GMD of NNPC to address Nigerians, or even just allow the Caribbean had a shot of him as the visitors were leaving.
Okay.
Yesterday at the Juma service, he had the opportunity of telling Nigerians that,
all right,
I thank you for praying for me. I thank you for praying for me. Did he speak?
All right, you want to react to that?
Yeah, the Muhammadu Buhari that we know, is he a media person? Let's start from there. Is he somebody that you notice from the onset that he is media person, that is always on the media to speak? So if we are seeing somebody who was greeting people all around, even as camera, this is clear. You see, you speak on so many assumptions. The assumption that this is a government, for the first time we are seeing a government that is allowing the 3-tier of government to operate, 3 arms of government to operate without any interference. So if the justice, if the law court is allowing Kanu to go home, why do you think it will interfere?
All right. Still talking about the president. We're still talking about the president's health. Now, let's also bring you some more information, especially points made by some analysts who have been digging out facts about past presidents who have been sick at some point. We'll begin in Africa, where Algerian President Abdulaziz Bouteflika has been reduced to the wheelchair for some years now. He has since remained in office. And now let's go to the United States of America. Former President Franklin Roosevelt, who ruled between 1933 and 1975, was diagnosed with polio in 1921 and still served for 12 years. And then former President Dwight Eisenhower, yeah, I hope I got that correctly. Dwight suffered a stroke in 1957 and still won a re-election. Then John F. Kennedy, he had chronic bone disease and was hospitalized 9 times in 2 years. And then the last one, former President George Bush. Bush was... It should be recalled that Bush vomited and then fainted in front of camera in 1992 while he was on a visit in Japan. So, Taufik Ghani, I'll just come straight to you now. It's so clear. Oh, no, let me go to Bolaji. You definitely have your time. Now, I just pointed out some facts. Okay. So, looking at the health of the president now and competence, I asked you that question earlier. We have seen cases of former presidents who have at one point or the other been sick. Sure, of course. Is that strong enough to have them leave office? He talked about
absolutely not.
He talked about the release of the iPod leader, and that point is actually that release was done under the watch of the president.
Okay, I must say firstly that I mentioned earlier about Roosevelt and a state of polio, and yet served for so long and led America to victory in 1945. I also talked about Winston Churchill, okay, who was also diagnosed of deep depression, all right, and yet he still achieved a lot for their country. And the case of President Muhammadu Yar'Adua is not different at all, all right? Muhammadu Buhari, I meant. It's not different at all because he had his own sicknesses, yes, but we can see a whole lot of turnaround in terms of security, in terms of corruption, and we can see a whole lot of improvements. Talk about the respect for rule of law, okay? You talk about IPOB, and in fact, that's what brought me to talk about the rule of law and acceptance for whatever this, the third tier or any tier of government is actually doing. Okay, at this point, Nnamdi Kanu actually got his freedom from the judiciary. It's not interfered by. We've once seen a president under PDP that Lagos State government got his own got a judgment, and then the president is saying they need to interpret that judgment to him. All right, these are people who don't have respect for the rule of law. They don't allow other tiers of governments to operate. They try to incapacitate them. All right, but the structure of APC being, I must say, it's progressive. It has its own fundamentals compared to the structure of PDP, which is actually regressive, though. I'm sorry if you... But I must say that's my opinion, which is strongly regressive. And the opposite of good is actually bad. All right? What APC is bringing to the table and the government of Buhari or Muhamadu is bringing to the table is actually just the opposite of what PDP has been doing to us all this while.
Okay. Taufik, is President Buhari a superhuman?
Nobody is a superhuman. And we are not discussing political parties here. We are discussing the issue at hand.
Of course.
The health of the president, and whether on your own, your conscience is not bleeding as you continue to defend that the president is so healthy. Now, these issues, you know, Algeria is not practicing democracy, you know. Now, and that is why we are afraid that what is happening in, you remember the Arab Spring and the rest, the agitation for what we want. Well, that's why some of us are scared that what is happening now may eventually lead us into what we experienced during the Arab Spring era. Now, polio is not a terminal ailment. Polio does not mean that you cannot think, you cannot hear, you cannot speak. The other man was, the other president of America. Do we have it on record that he never attended a Federal Executive Council? Do you know that as we speak, even as we continue to put up defense for President Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigerian here, our neighbor here, that could even come in the evening and go at night, was to see the president on official issue, and he has been postponed. That visit has been postponed. So I imagine that the American president has very important things to do. No foreign investor will come into this country now, because what the vice president is doing is not acting as president. Okay, that is what we want. We are not saying that President Buhari should go and, God forbid, we are saying that he should go and leave this administration work for Nigerians. All right. Whether I'm in PDP or not, I want the dollar to come to return to 197 as it was in 2015.
Okay, now you're making strong points about the economy. Now, Odulade, your last point on this, because we have to go into other issues. Okay. Let me take your point, then I'll take your last point on the president's health. What's the way forward? What should Nigerians be thinking right now or talking about generally?
I think what Nigerians should be thinking about is how to continue to pray for Mr. President to be hale and healthy and come back to his text. And we have seen him yesterday. We saw him yesterday talking and greeting everybody. We believe that within a very short period, he will return to the... talking about the Federal Executive Council is not even an issue. It's not compulsory that Mr. President will have to be in the Federal Executive Council. Yeah. Once we have somebody who's deputizing for him and who's presiding the meeting, and the fellow that also have that responsibility is doing so, the Vice President of the nation. Right. So I don't think Nigerians should have any reason to be panicking or whatsoever. I think it is time for us to just continue to... Okay,
Bolaji, quickly, let me take your last point on that.
Okay, my point would be all Nigerians should wish Mr. President better resting period and full recovery in the shortest time possible. Okay. And then talking about maybe the insecurities, talking about the cases of Arab Spring, Nigerians are not agitating at this point because this government is actually giving results. Okay. Right. So far, so good. Even talking about the economy is actually picking up back.
All right. Let's quickly take this call from Lagos here. Anthony, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm good.
Afternoon to come here studio.
Okay, let's have your contribution.
Yeah, quickly. I just want to ask the young man from PDP, can he please tell Nigerians those things that would have been suffering from because the president has not been available? 2, I don't think you understand what they call a team player. When you're a team player, when you're not fit, somebody else takes over. President Buhari and Muhamadu have shown Nigeria what it means that two can tango. We have never had it like this before. 2, the issue of Yaradua that died was a different thing from this man. The man you saw yesterday is more fitter than, it's much better than what we used to see before. So he talks about the dollar returning back. I hope he also want the corruption that we have suffered for many years during the PDP rule should return back. So he should put his act together and put his point together. Let him not play politics, bring him down the camera and talk. If I should have my way, these people won't have seen the surface of the day. So security is very key. When you have people that can cause security breaching, you keep them away and let others have their peace. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Anthony. Taufik, you quickly want to react to that. He talked about two things. What are the areas that are lacking right now in the economy, and then the sense in having, or the sense in being a team player?
There's nothing wrong in being a team player, and this is not the first time we will be enjoying it. We've been enjoying it. As a matter of fact, what is happening now is even a threat to that practice, because it's like we want to let it look like it's a novel thing. Right. Now, he has not asked specifically that what is missing in the economy. What you understand, because of the ill health of the president. Okay. But even if we talk about the economy, a lot, and everybody agrees. And I don't know how we continue to defend our inadequacy. It's not an issue of dollar alone. We're talking of so many other things. Now, when you talk of the country or a country losing as a result of a president not performing because of ill health, it is not just because the House of Assembly is working, the National Assembly is working, the judiciary is working. There are some things that are very sacrosanct that only the president can do. And you see, it's just because we're playing party politics. Okay. Because we're playing party politics, the vice president may not want to come out and say that my hands are tied. I'm saying that very good example of Nnamdi Kanu. The day the president will be opportune to talk and talk loud, like he will want to, he might tell you that Nnamdi Kanu must return, because he has said it unequivocally.
All right, thank you very much, Taufik Gani. All right, so much to talk about regarding the president's health. But we'll go on another break, and when we return, it will be time to focus on the Senate's call for the trial of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal. Also, we will look at the allegations by the PDP caucus in the Senate over alleged plans by some persons in the presidency to arrest Deputy Senate President Ike Muhamadu and former PDP governors. Please join us again. All right, thanks for staying with us. We also have with us in the studio here, Honorable Olusegun Olulade represents, is a member of the Lagos State House of Assembly, and also I have with me the Publicity Secretary of the PDP in Lagos, Taufik Gani, and then Bolaji Shoneye. Bolaji Shoneye is also a politician. Let's quickly listen to this soundbite to lay a foundation for our next discussion. This will tell us where we're going next. Let's listen to it.
That the bank verification number of Engineer David Lawal is still the signatory to Roller Vision Limited account and the 13 other accounts.
Some persons in the presidency who have planned to use the EFCC and other security agencies to harass, intimidate, and set up the Deputy Senate President in order to put him in detention. And this plan is also not limited to the Deputy Senate President only. All former governors of the People's Democratic Party have been listed. All dissenting voices in Nigeria, including those in the APC, are also listed to be attacked in the same manner.
All right, that's the foundation for our next discussion, and I think I just have to start with Honorable Olulade there. You listened to the senator there, Enyinnaya Abaribe, talking about it's a strong allegation that the Deputy Senate President might be arrested, and some other members of the PDP, and even some others that are not members of the PDP, that some persons in the presidency are threatening them. Should anybody just follow that kind of accusation or allegation?
I would say that it's unfortunate that we are hearing this now. We have seen issues like this in the days of PDP, and that's why they are afraid. I think they are afraid from themselves because they know what they've been doing while in government.
What are they afraid of?
They are afraid because I see no reason why you should be afraid of being arrested if you are not doing anything wrong, or if you have not done anything wrong. So I don't see any reason why anybody should say that somebody is trying to intimidate him or her based on the facts that we have on ground. And when you look at those people they are even referring to, they are referring to Muhamadu, they are referring to past governors in PDP. And we know what PDP government have done to this country. We know how they siphon monies and the level of corruption in this country. So we understand that they are now trying to attack the government and to try to placate the government as intimidating them or whatsoever. I think until when, and coming to this government, we have seen that that has not been the modus operandi of this government. We have shown to the entire world that there is a government that observes the rule of law and that is maintaining that in all spheres of life. And you can see that the people who are even talking, they do not have the mouth or that integrity to address Nigerians and say somebody is trying to intimidate them. We know what they do when they are in government.
All right, Bolaji, I'll come to you now. Why should the Deputy Senate President be scared? Okay. His name has never really been in the dark side of the news in terms of accusations of fraud and all that. Why should he be scared of being arrested or something?
Earlier I was saying that we shouldn't be partisan, but there's no way we'll talk about this. I won't talk about politics and political parties. I must say firstly that the PDP, or the political party PDP, and its people are just a crybaby. All right, because this is what they've been doing over time, okay, to their oppositions. And now that they feel they are now at the opposition, and they all knew what they've done wrong, because the truth is this, if you don't have any skeleton in your cupboard, you shouldn't be afraid to be invited either by the EFCC or any of the anti-graft parastatals. All right, so I want to strongly believe that the PDP is just trying to cry foul, okay, for actually knowing full well that they've run this country down strongly. All right, they created a whole lot of holes in government, in the treasuries of this government. I must, if I must point out one thing straight, the PDP government, or the system while they were in government, had the whistleblower, which was the former CBN governor. He blew a whistle about some missing money, and instead of them to go after or to investigate this matter, what they rather did was to nail the whistleblower. Right now, the APC government is bringing the whistleblower policy, which is just opposite of what the PDP government is doing, and we are seeing a whole lot of people hiding money, septic tanks, stacking cash in some areas. And the truth is this, these guys that have come up to say, especially Abaribe, to say this, he knows investigations are going on, and actually some of them will be invited, of course. Okay, so the best thing to do is to come to the public and cry foul. Okay,
Taufik Gani, one wonders, I'm very sure many of our viewers are wondering why your party is worried and why run to the media to cry out that the topmost member of your party, who happens to be Muhamadu, the dead president, may be arrested, and even some other members. Why are you scared? Why is your party scared at the national level?
Now, as a member of PDP, I must let the world know that there's nothing novel in this anti-corruption fight. The PDP actually started it by creating the EFCC, the ICPC. These same persons who are in government now, when the EFCC was to arrest any member of the then opposition, they would say that they were coming for them. They did worse or more than what we are doing now.
Okay, so you're saying that that's just an opposition party strategy, is that it?
In their own cases, they didn't bring up any other thing apart from that. Obasanjo was victimizing them. Now, it is on record. The majority of the governors, honorable senators that were arrested, prosecuted, convicted were even carrying members of PDP. So nobody, as we speak...
Were they persons who fell out of favor with the former president?
That is another ballgame entirely.
It's just a question.
It is another ballgame entirely. They were card-carrying members. The only person who...
No, you've not answered my question. Were there people who fell out of favor with...
No. the EFCC was allowed to carry out its functions independent of anybody. Ribadu, we all know who he is. You understand? We know who he is. A very strong man, dogged. You understand? But we see what we are finding now. Perhaps the only opportunity will be the eventual report on Babachir Lawal. Again, if President Muhammadu Buhari was in control, that will not see the light of the day, the stage it has gotten to. But we also want to test now again the sincerity of purpose, indeed, of the vice president. Because I ordinarily will even have opposed the presidency setting up a committee to investigate Babachir Lawal, who is also part of the presidency. They should have brought up an independent body. We have retired justices. You understand? So it's still a cover-up. Now, the alarm that has been issued now, I mean, by the PDP stalwarts, is not something we should not throw it away, because we know, and I must say this, I don't know whether I must use this word. Yes, this government is vindictive of the opposition. Even members of the APC, they have come out to say it loud. And
don't you think that there is a balance?
I'm sorry.
If you say that the government is vindictive and the same government is after members of its own political parties, what are we saying here?
We need to distinguish it.
How?
Which members
which
members of its own party? When, as we speak, our president, the person I also will have given 100% mark on credibility, you understand, is sitting in a federal executive council with a former governor that has been indicted. There is a report indicting that person of, I think, over 18 billion in Rivers. Also, even in Lagos here, the former governor has only been able to come up to defend that, okay, I use so amount for borehole, using about 200 and something million to construct a borehole, but that I did not go through or I did not sign it. But you got notice of it. As we speak, the man that PDP threw away from its own party for involving in that type of corruption, which is another form of corruption, the Okija shrine thing, you understand, where corpses of innocent persons were found. He's sitting in the Federal Executive Council with President Muhammadu Buhari, Anticorruption, Caesar. All these issues are there, and very many. You understand? What I will continue to say is that is President Muhammadu Buhari never a sinner or a repentant? If some of us are saying that he's not a repentant, I agree. Because we'll go back to memory lane. In 1983, there was political corruption. When he took over democratically elected government, you understand, and threw us back 20 years behind. He served in the worst government in the history of Nigeria, Abacha's government. He served as a parallel president, the chairman of PTF. He has never come for once. He has never said that Abacha's government was corrupt. You understand? So what we are saying is not because we are in the opposition now. We are saying that fight us. Let this see, international organizations have come up. They have said it. They have alluded to it that there is anti-corruption fight, but it is selective.
Do you agree with him? He just said it's selective, because I'm wondering.
I must say I disagree.
At the same time, he said something. He said members of the APC themselves have cried out foul. That means somebody is probably doing something right, and I stand to be corrected. If members of the same political party are saying that we are not on that, they are witch-hunting us, are those cries just out of fear or what?
Okay, if I must put it this way, I must say I agreed with him that the PDP government initiated EFCC and some other parastatal that should push against anti-graft. But in these aspects now, whereby the PDP are the ones in government for 16 years, looting monies, okay, and then you are now saying the PDP are the ones being arrested by EFCC during their same tenure. Who else do you expect them to go after?
You are telling me that I did this because you are in government.
Let me finish now.
Will it sound well for a government to go after people that are not even in positions of the country finances or treasuries? That is one. Then I'm talking about some APC members crying foul as well. The truth is this, as we are in APC now, we still have PDP converts that ran into APC, probably for the purpose of bandwagon effect, you know, just to sustain themselves or retain themselves in the system. But that does not mean they shouldn't be fished out. That does not mean they shouldn't be flushed out.
All right.
If you have done anything wrong,
not happening.
You should.
All right. Okay. Olulade said it's happening. If, for instance, the APC, which is the ruling party, has been able to also investigate one of their own, who happens to be the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, and also the Senate the Senate President also consented to the investigation. Of this same person, then what are we saying here?
That's what we are trying to say, that now we have a Senate President who is also in court today for corrupt cases. And we also have the Secretary to the Federal Government who is also being probed. That, especially, like the Secretary to the Federal Government who happened to be the Mr. President man. I mean, that wouldn't have happened in the days of Jonathan. That wouldn't have happened. Where
stealing is not corruption.
Of course, well, the Vice President has also defined it that way. That stealing does not mean corruption. Did you listen to his last public chat? Yes. So anyway,
allow him to make his point.
Of course.
Finish up with your point.
Of course. And as a lawyer, I can tell you, stealing is not corruption. It was just that the president, not being a lawyer, I mean, tried to swim too deep in an ocean. You understand? Okay. Stealing, there are two different things by provision of the act.
That's another topic for another day.
But the two things can actually be probed as well. You know,
the Senate President, we all know why he is being victimized, being persecuted. Because he went against, not only that, you
interrupted him.
He challenged the president
Taufik.
The presidency race.
Okay.
He also went against the APC arrangement.
Taufik
who should become the Senate President.
You've not allowed him make his point.
I thought he had.
No, I haven't. Thank you for giving me that opportunity once again. Like I said, if the Secretary to the Federal Government is being probed today, we believe that it can never happen in their days. We know what is going on.
It has never happened.
It has never happened.
It has never happened. That's not true.
That told us, that informs us the position of this government.
The national chairman of PDP was arrested, the son.
You're cutting it.
The man you are referring to was because they wanted to remove the man. As at that period, they wanted to remove the national president of PDP then. That was why they were after him. So you cannot talk about this particular government.
So
nobody wanted to remove the Secretary to the Federal Government today. Nobody was, I mean, as far as the presidency is concerned. But because there is an allegation, and that allegation needs to be probed, that is what we talk about. That's what we talk about when we talk about accountability and transparency. And that is what this government has brought to the fore. We can't find that during your days in power. And also, when we talk about the integrity, nobody can question the integrity of Mr. President. You said why he was in PTF. Why he was in PTF? Have you ever traced 1 naira or 1 kobo to Muhamadu Buhari? And we can trace millions or billions of dollars into the account of some of your leaders that we know in this country. So we know who is who in this country, and we know ourselves very well. No, it's not a blackmail. It is something.
The president continues to be the minister for petroleum. Let him leave. Let us have somebody who is independent. We will probe that office. We will probe from 1970.
In all of this, let
me also quickly say.
In all of this, yes. Let me take your last position on the fight against corruption. We've looked at the Senate's position on the trial of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. So we're talking about the fight against corruption generally, because that's an allegation for now. Now, we're also looking at the allegations made by members of your political party. So what's the way out of all this so that Nigeria itself can also make progress?
The presidency had come out to clear the SGF. The Attorney General.
No, the report will be released tomorrow.
No, before now.
No, that was then.
But the
report, we're waiting on another report tomorrow.
Let us lay it
Which is on Monday, I beg.
Let us lay it how it is.
Okay.
It took agitation, civil society organizations, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, even members of the anti-corruption body set up by it's Sesage. Professor Sesage came out and spoke against it, and this other man, Yoruba, spoke against the continual you understand, sitting of Babachi Lawal as secretary to the federal government before this now. And if you also remember very well, he became somebody who is to be investigated by this committee, not minding that the president set it up as we're made to know. But you've not
really answered my question.
I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
And if you put the totality of all those together, you will know that the fight against corruption is not true. Now, and that is why we must take very seriously that this cry by the PDP stalwart is genuine.
All right, thank you. The fight is genuine. Bolaji, your last point now.
Okay, I must say that he has done so well, you know, to quote their own part. But to keep it short and sharp, the fight against corruption, I must say that the APC government led by General Muhamadu Buhari and Professor Yemi Osinbajo has actually helped Nigeria a lot. Okay, and I must say, we can only say we reward results and not activities. Okay, a lot of the past governments have done so many activities around this, and then there are no results to show for it. For the first time, the SGF is being brought to book, it's been investigated, a high-profile person in APC government. Then why should PDP past governors and high-profile leaders be afraid to be invited and investigated?
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Honorable Olusegun Olulade, for your contributions, and it's really good to have you here. Taufik Gani, we also appreciate your comments. My pleasure. And then Bolaji Shoneye. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Good contributions. Also, we thank you for staying with us on StandPoint. Join us again on Sunday for a repeat broadcast of this show, and also join us every Saturday for another interesting topic, especially on stories that have made headlines during the week. Until then, I am Adetunji Adeteye. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.